could die. At least tell me your name.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Bruce?
Hi guys, Modern Muppet here, how you doing? I love that line from that movie and I'm going to get to discussing it in a minute, but before I do, I did audition for the part of Batman and here it comes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but for some weird reason, Christopher Nolan, is it Christopher Nolan? Yeah, Christopher Nolan decided to go with Christian Bale instead of your good friend Model Muppet. Anyway, that line, it's not who we are underneath, but it's what we do that defines us. Now, I know the Batman films aren't really deep, although I've got to say, as far as my superhero likings go, Batman is far away the favourite, because he just seems this really sort of tortured and all-round character. But anyway, that line, it's not who we are underneath that defines us, it's what we do. I've been without the internet for a few days lately. I'll post a separate video about that, but it's left me sort of thinking, what will I do instead of playing online games? So some of what I did was to go back to the Batman game, and then, you know, that got me onto watching the Batman films and stuff, and seeing that line did get me thinking. Now some of you may know that about a year ago I had 2 jobs and I lost both those jobs. One in which the company went bust, and the other was because of professional disagreements with me and senior employers. They ended up not giving me a reference. So when I left and the other company went bust, I couldn't get a reference. Long, horrible story. So I'm not going to go into that too much. What I will do though is kind of discuss a little bit about who I was as a nurse and why that has led to kind of almost a loss of identity. Now, when it comes to nursing, there is a public perception that nurses are angels. Well, you know what? It's not true, man. I have seen some fucking horrible, horrible nurses and doctors in my time. Seriously. And having professional disagreements with them goes right back to when I started as a student nurse. And I can remember as a student nurse, I'd come off my dinner break and I went into the patient's bathroom. And there was this old guy there, probably about 70, 80 years old, in the bath by himself with shit floating in it. And, you know, I couldn't manage the guy by myself. So I went to look for one of the staff nurses to give me a hand. And this is a qualified nurse. And the first one I saw, I said, look, this guy's in the bath. Can you come and help me out? And she says, oh, I've done my work. Go and get somebody else. She'd been on duty for an hour. And she was prepared to let this bloke just kind of lie there. And I couldn't let it go, so I complained to the ward manager about this afterwards. And the ward manager took the side of the staff nurse because she was friends with her. I was basically on that ward for a few weeks, and I was seen as a troublemaker for wanting to complain about this. Crazy, crazy. When I was my last job, I was the deputy manager of a nursing home, and this will give you an indication of what some nurses are like. It was a bank holiday weekend, and the way things are in a nursing home, if you need morphine or something like that for somebody at short notice, their condition deteriorates, you don't just have it in stock that you can give it to them. You don't have a doctor on hand that you can just write it up. You have to wait for a doctor to come to the home, write the prescription, and then you have to try and get the prescription. And on a bank holiday weekend, that can be very problematic. A, in getting the doctor, and B, in finding a chemist that is open to get the prescription produced. So I'd been waiting for hours for this prescription, for the doctor to come, to get the chemist and everything. And when I finally got it, it needed to be given with another nurse. You can't give morphine as an injection by yourself. It has to be checked by another qualified nurse. And the nurse that I'd asked to come and help me says, well, do I have to do it right now? I was going for a break. And I said, well, yeah, this guy's been waiting for this morphine for hours, you know. He's in a lot of pain and he needs it now. And the look I got would have melted shit. Seriously. It was like, how dare you stop me from having a break to go and give this guy some pain relief. Honestly, guys, it was absolutely incredible. I can remember as a night nurse, went to see this patient one night, and we kind of got into this habit where he would wake up during the night about 2 o'clock. He'd need to go to the toilet, and once he was awake, he'd also like to have a cup of tea, a couple of biscuits, and a little bit of company for 5 minutes to help him get back to sleep. Right? No biggie, you might think. But one day, I noticed I was getting dirty looks from the other staff when I was doing this. And I said, look, there's obviously a problem. What is your problem? And the problem was that because I was doing it, on nights when I wasn't there, they were having to do it as well. And I was like, it's your fucking job. Do it. You wouldn't believe some of the shit that I've seen from nurses. And this is actually where my problems lay, because I wouldn't take shit like this, you know. And when I was in a position of seniority, I would take punitive action towards nurses who weren't looking after people. And you wouldn't think you'd have to do this, but you do. And also, there were professional disagreements, as I said, with a senior manager. Basically, the home wasn't spending the money that it needed to spend in terms of bathing facilities, in terms of food. Yeah, they were getting fed enough, but it was like a bucket of slop sometimes what they were getting. So I was complaining about this and letting my mouth go as I do. So when it came to the point where this guy, I'd asked him for a reference, he was quite happy not to give me one, which meant that I couldn't get another job as a nurse. So I'm left thinking, well, if I am is a result of what I do, where does that leave me now? I mean, I've given you a very, very condensed version of how my nursing career ended, because it would take me hours to go into it all. But basically, because of me complaining about poor standards, whether it was staff who were junior to me or staff who were senior to me, I ended up in a situation where I could no longer get a job as a nurse. It is referred to as whistleblowing. There is legislation against it, but it is very, very ineffective, and the power still remains in the hands of employers, especially in the private sector. So who am I now? When I was a nurse, I used to spend all my time with my patients. You know, I used to enjoy that stuff. I wasn't doing it because I'm an angel. I am no angel. Believe me, I am no angel. I am as far from an angel as it's possible to be. But one thing that I always had pride in was that I was good with my patients. You know, my patients trusted me. They loved me. I respected them. I loved them. I got to know them very well. And I was always there for them and doing my job. And that was who I was. And now I'm not that person anymore. Who do I reach out to now? Who is my sphere of influence? We all have a sphere of influence where we influence the people who come into contact with us. And I'm pleased to say that, you know, obviously not everyone in my nursing days was a complete shit. And a lot of people I would help out, especially the junior staff who were trying to improve stuff and trying to improve their own abilities. But what do I do now? Now, one of the things I actually want to do on YouTube is make people think. Make people think about who they are. Which is why I've done videos about things like trolling, things like bullying, people's attitudes to somebody with drug addictions, people's attitudes to religion and faith, and just general life things. Now, it's very, very early days for my YouTube career. Oh, that was my phone ringing. Anyway, I'm back. I've lost the flow a little bit of what I was saying. But yeah, I think where I was at is it possible on YouTube to influence people? Is it possible for gaming commentaries to achieve more than just, hey, look, this is me playing a game, this is me owning the opposition, you know, this is me showing what a brilliant player I am. Now, people don't watch my channel because I'm a brilliant player, because we all know that I'm not. So if you're a regular subscriber here's a question for you. Has there ever been anything I've said that actually makes you think? You know what I mean? Hopefully a lot of the videos I do are just pure entertainment for entertainment's sake. But sometimes I do like to try and make people think. And I think that's what I need to do more of. I need to find out now, who am I? And what is it that I'm going to do that will define who I am? Now, I've got some other projects lined up that will kind of change things for me as well. I've got some voluntary work lined up. Just waiting for kind of, got to do what's called criminal record checks and stuff before you can start working for vulnerable people, which this will involve. It will involve working with people with drug addictions and trying to help them. And one of the ways I thought I'd be doing that would be to teach people to play guitar, which kind of, it's just a little thing, but for them it's, you know, somebody outside of their situation who's coming in and saying, look, you can do something different with your life. Now, on previous videos I've also talked about depression, and I know that that has actually reached out to some people and it helps them talk about their depression. When I talked about the bullying, it helps people to think about themselves, you know, were they bullied and how did it affect them? And even more important than that, it's actually made some people think about their own actions. So yeah, this is actually how I'm going to try and define myself. What do you think? Is it possible for somebody like me to reach out to people you never actually meet and actually have them change in some way, reevaluate what they do, rethink what they do, and will in the future I be able to define myself by those sort of actions? It's been a bit of a rambling commentary, but let me know what you think. And also, how do you define yourself? What is it about you that identifies to you who you are, the person that you are? I'm going to be back with some more map reviews and some more normal gameplay and stuff. But I hope that this commentary hasn't been too rambling for you. And maybe, just maybe, it's made you think. This is Muffin out, guys. Take it easy. Bye.
Batman!